Simon Harris live from London, outside the Hippodrome, with DJ Paul Dakeyne with the Hippodrome.
Yeah, when I first moved down from Hull in East Yorkshire, I managed to secure a gig at the Hippodrome.
I didn't know you worked here.
Yeah, on a Tuesday night. Somebody had a connection with Peter Stringfellows and said, yeah, send the lad down, see what he can do, and that was it.
We're meeting in the West End. We've got to get you to King's Cross. That's our mission.
Okay, yeah.
Is this the first time you've been back to the West End for a while, or have you been to the West End?
Tourist West End. Yeah, I haven't been here for quite a few years.
Because normally when you come do these gigs, I mean, you were at Battersea last time where I saw you.
Yeah, it was Battersea Magic Garden.
Let's cross over here.
Battersea Magic Garden.
Get away from the crowd.
Last night. Whoa! Oh, there you go. You're dead.
1, 2, testing 1, 2. Okay. Do you know what? The more chaos, the better with these things.
You're a daredevil, Mr. Harris.
Yeah, you have to be, because otherwise these things are boring. You've got to do things that are kind of a bit funny for these videos.
As I was saying before you try to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Magic Garden in Peckham. That was with Nick from School Wonderland.
Yeah.
Nick Hawkes. And then same again with Reach Up with Nick. We played at Peckham Levels. It's a kind of converted multi-storey car park, 5 levels. Event space.
Like Paradise Garage kind of place.
Similar, yeah, I suppose. We're going to get run over again.
Do you know, I'm terrible at walking with people.
Yeah.
Because I tend to walk on my own, and I forget when there's somebody with me. They're not up on the pavement with me or whatever.
Is this factual Simon Harris from London, or is this tongue-in-cheek Simon Harris from London? Because
I don't care, whatever. No, it is factual. Everything's factual. What are you talking about?
But it was a good gig for me. It's it's reaffirming to be able to play to.
Sorry, I'm walking in that direction.
An appreciative London crowd. Culturally diverse and really knowing the music. It kind of last time I played. Most times I play in London. It really reaffirms the belief in what we've always believed in since day one.
Yeah.
Some gigs are better than others in life, but yeah, the London gigs are mostly spot on.
Oh, good. Okay.
So yeah, it's good vibes last night.
And have you been doing any gigs in Hull recently?
Yeah, I play a local bar in a place. It's like a borough of the city called Willoughby. It's called the New Bar, Nubar, and it's sort of 70s, 80s funky vibes.
Yeah.
Just bar music. People dance now and again. No pressure, no dance floor.
Yeah.
And I like it. It's social. I get to meet people, have some fun.
If I might just stop you here, just as we were another historical place we're walking past, we're at Stringfellows.
Yes, been there a few times.
Yeah. I wanted to walk past Stringfellows.
I might add.
Have you been DJing here?
No, what it was, I came to an event. No, I never actually DJed, but I came to an event when the industry was challenging Rick Astley or PWL. They said, hey, he can't sing. So Pete Waterman put the showcase on, and Rick Astley performed downstairs in Stringfellows, and that was my... I was there professionally as in, an industry person, but yeah, that was Rick Astley doing the do back in the 80s.
Wow.
What a great day for it as well.
It is. Yeah, I did, It's like whenever I see the weather's looking nice, I feel like I've got to do one of these things. Sorry.
I was to say, how's the whole Live from London thing going for you? Is it okay?
Yeah. I just come up here. Whenever it's a nice day, it's an excuse to walk around, really.
Yeah.
And I like walking around London. It's one of my favourite things.
Yeah.
So here we are. Grab a video camera. We've got all the technology. So
there's so many roads and avenues and nooks and crannies to explore. I mean,
I know.
Even you, with your extensive knowledge of London, probably haven't visited all the places you want to go to.
That's right. There's loads of parts of London that I just don't know.
Yeah.
It's like last week I went to the city and I just don't know the city, like St Paul's area and all of that. So it's all good fun. I quite enjoy it. You just come from here, haven't you? You were just in Covent Garden.
Yeah, is this Neil Street? Do you know there used to be a great record shop down here? Can you remember what it was called? It was a destination record shop that a lot of people went to.
No, I didn't know that.
On the right-hand side here. The name escapes me. I used to come record shopping down here as well.
It's such a shame that all the record shops are gone, because that used to be like a major reason to come into London.
Yeah.
It was records and hi-fi for me.
Records,
and all the electronics.
Yeah.
And it's all the shops are gone now.
Yeah.
Which is like such a shame, really.
Yeah. I used to enjoy like going around the kind of vintage clothes shops and stuff as well. That was always a good vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah, records, and it was a social thing as well. You get to hang out and meet people, network. But there was never one be-all and end-all records shop or store.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, even out with Massive Records out in Oxford with Joe Massive. You know, you'll either go there or order, and then you do something in London. Then you might go to somewhere in Slough, or you know.
Yeah.
Those were the days. But yeah.
I mean, for me, there were so many record shops in London that you kind of picked one, and I kind of by default ended up at Groove Records in Greek Street.
Yeah, that was a very early one though. I mean, Groove.
Yeah.
I won't say it got eclipsed or anything, but I mean, when did Groove kind of lose its?
When they closed. I mean, it was all the time. It moved from one musical genre to another.
Was it Gene Palmer who ran?
Yes, that was the Palmer family. And it was because I worked around the corner at a pro audio store called REW.
Yeah.
And Les Adams was the manager. I think I told you this once before.
Yeah.
So he was my boss, and I was the tea boy. So he'd be sending me out for cups of tea, and he sent me out. He said, "I want you to go to the hardware store and ask for a long wait." And I didn't realise this was like... Yeah, this is like... It was a joke, you know. They were all having a good laugh. And I did. I went to this hardware store, actually just round the corner from here in Covent Garden. And I said, "Have you got a long way?" And the guy said, "I think you've been had, actually."
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. But he asked me to pick his records up one time.
Yeah.
Go around to Groove Records, ask for Gene, and say, "You're here to pick up Les's records." And I kept going back. So,
yeah,
you know.
That was the thing those days, wasn't it? You established a relationship with record stores and the people who ran them, and they would they'd get a delivery of records, and for the more, as we say, influential or regular customers who were movers and shakers, as it were, they would prepare them bags.
Yeah,
literally before
they did. Yeah,
got onto the shelves.
They did. Yeah,
you know, that was a thing.
And we used to get the imports before they were released in the US. Did you know that?
How? What, from Groove Records?
Yeah.
How did you manage that?
They were sent from a distributor in Miami as promos before they could be released in America. And they would be rushed over, and they'd end up in shops like Groove, like the next day. And they might not be released in America for another 2 weeks or something like that.
You've got to have some serious connections to get that kind of power of retail movement, you know.
Yeah, and that worked really well for Mike Allen.
Yeah.
With the hip-hop show on Capitol. He had the first hip-hop show.
Yeah.
And he was getting tracks like Jazzy Jeff, Fresh Prince, Girls of the World Ain't Nothing But Trouble.
Yeah.
Before they were played in America, he was playing them on Capitol. Right, let's go for it. So yeah, London was great for lots of record shops. What about Hull? Did you have any dance music shops in Hull?
Yeah, and I had a relationship, a professional relationship with the young lady who worked there. Her name was Tracy.
Right.
And it was in the basement downstairs, and the manager, assistant manager was called Gary, if I remember, and he looked after me as well. But Tracy really got to know me as a DJ, and every time I went in once a week, it was kind of a religious thing with my friend Chuz, obviously. Yeah. We'd go in record shopping and have a Yankee burger afterwards and stuff.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And but yeah, Tracy used to have a bag for me. So it was, well, here's what I've selected for you, and that would include imports. I mean, you know, to get the real cutting edge, ultra cutting edge stuff, we'd have to go to Manchester to, is it Spin It, Mike?
Manchester was like the centre of the world, wasn't it? For dance music.
Or Leeds.
Leeds.
Yeah, Leeds as well.
I remember you talking about Leeds. I heard a radio interview, and you said that you walked into the Warehouse Club, was it?
That was my opinion.
In Leeds, and that's what changed everything.
That's what changed everything, yeah. 1979. Late 1979, I was kind of, you know, I was 18, just trying to get into the whole vibe. But Hull was very, you know, sticky carpets and, you know, smoochy selection at the end, and yeah, just not my vibe. I was aware of, and I was working a little job part-time in a record store in the city, just a small one, just as a holiday job, and I got paid in records, so I got an interest in 12-inch imports. So my knowledge was a bit far ahead of the actual whole scene. But when you're that age and you're seeking something different, I just saw an advert in the local newspaper. American-style disco opens Leeds, Summer Street, the Warehouse.
Yeah. Fantastic.
DJ Dan Pucciarelli, DJ Greg James, and it just looked, wow.
Oh, it was Greg James?
Yeah.
From
Embassy.
Wow. And he imported the GLI mixers.
Exactly. There's the other part of the story.
Yeah.
So I went to myself and my cousin Karen and a couple of other friends jumped in the car, drove to Leeds, and it was like, do you know the cover for the disco 12-inch where there's people queuing up outside of is it RCA or?
Yes.
Anyway, they're all queued up outside and
I know the one.
Glittery trousers and everybody's pretty and handsome and. You know, it's all looked fantastic. Anyway, we got there and there's a Pontiac Firebird, a Mercedes, and Rolls Royce. It just looked like something from another world. And there's these beautiful people queued up.
Yeah.
So we joined the queue, got in, and I could hear this pulsing rhythm just coming towards me.
Did they have big like bass speakers? Was it all the thumping bass? Because that's what used to do it for me. It was hearing the bass as you were walking towards.
Yeah, you could hear this. Kind of thing. But as we walked in, it was just like this fairy tale land was there. Music I'd never heard before. Lighting rig where it had neon lasers.
With all the helicopters and pin spots and all of that,
tweeters flowing through the ceiling, bass bins everywhere.
Yeah.
No sticky carpet. And everybody was dancing. It was full of beautiful people and everybody was dancing. They weren't sort of trying to pop off with each other, as it were.
What was the decor like in there? Was it modern or black, or was it like a
sort of?
Did it have a certain direction? Like, was it all Chinese and red?
No,
or
it was a bit like the warehouse, the hacienda, but without the.
Well, that was industrial.
So it was quite industrial. It was brick and chrome. Brick and stainless steel.
That's fantastic.
No carpet.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Cool-looking bar. The guy who owned it was called Mike Weond.
Right.
Mike was actually
We're walking through a crowd. We better cross them over and avoid.
Mike was actually a former spy, would you believe, for the US.
Oh my God!
So and he'd set up some legitimate businesses in the UK. He had a burger restaurant. And he opened the warehouse, but he...
Is that how he discovered disco, by going to clubs in America, do you think? Because he's...
Well, he obviously knew Danny Pucciarelli and Greg James.
Right.
And he was an American, so he was the real deal.
Yeah.
Okay. He was a cool, handsome-looking mofo. Right. And he's such an incredible personality. We got to know him quite well, actually, as we went, but... Yeah, and what got me at the time, my friends were all hitting the dance floor and dancing to this incredible music, but we couldn't see a DJ. There was no DJ to be seen. I was looking around. Where's the music coming from?
That's how it should be. I was going to say this to you, that I think it's all gone wrong now. Yeah. With all this, the way the DJ is being so central and like everyone's taking photos of the DJ. Yeah. And how it was back then in the warehouse. Yeah. Exactly how it should be now. And maybe it would last longer if it was.
Maybe it could come back to that.
I hope it does.
Things do have a tendency to go full circle, don't they?
Yeah.
In fashion, culture and music. But, So anyway, I was looking round, but not only I was hearing this music, one, I didn't know. Two, that seemed to go on forever and ever and ever and ever. No DJ was going, hey, hi, you got yourself a birth. There was none of this shit going on. So the music was like, I didn't know the music, which was startlingly...
That's a good thing.
Refreshing and wonderful.
Yeah.
Secondly, it seemed to go on forever but change, and I couldn't figure out why.
So had you... And third, had you tried mixing up to that point? Were you into mixing at all?
No, forgive me. No, this was
the discovery of mixing.
Yeah, I'm
of mixing records.
Rewinding my head here. I just started a job working at Comet, the electrical retailer people.
Yeah, I know.
I was an aspiring young assistant manager. Went to this club, as I said. So with there, Yeah, sure, I had an interest in collecting 12-inch singles. I was passionate about Kraftwerk, Giorgio Moroder, that kind of stuff.
That's another thing about you. There's the electronic fanboy thing is a massive thing, isn't it, as well?
Huge.
Yeah.
I've always said to people, ask me, your music side, I said, well, I've got one foot in disco, one foot with Kraftwerk.
And I didn't know that until recently.
Really?
And I didn't know until I heard an interview with you.
Okay.
About how important it was with Jean-Michel Jarre and Kraftwerk and all of that.
Yeah. So even going back to the krautrock kind of thing with Tangerine Dream and then Vangelis as well over in Greece. But so back at the warehouse, anyway, I looked round and then I looked up and I could see this figure, just sort of, if we just stop for a second, and he was like this. Concentrating this head and shoulders. I was fascinated.
What's he doing?
And I thought this must be the DJ, but the DJ, there was a corridor up some stairs and it led to a restaurant because they had to have a food license in those days.
Yeah.
Just burgers and pizzas and stuff. But you would walk past the DJ booth, but the DJ booth was suspended up in the gods.
Wow.
And there was I always remember there was a kind of a peekaboo window that you could sit and look through it.
That would have been perfect for me. Nobody asking for requests.
Yeah, exactly. Not like that, but the boiler room thing where they're all doing, jumping.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, okay, go away. So, but what was really cool as well is they had the US Disco Billboard Top 100 stuck on there.
Yeah.
And I just stood, and I think, I honestly, Simon, can't remember whether it was Danny Pooch or whether it was Greg.
Yeah.
But I got to know both of them and watched them play. I think it was Danny and
did you find yourself, that night you went there, did you find yourself just, rather than dancing yourself, just watching the DJ? Because that's what I always used to do when I went to a club.
Well, yeah, because, all my cousins and my friends were like dancing their asses off, and I was just, this thing was happening to me, I didn't know, it was an epiphany.
Yeah.
But then I saw, he put the intro to Michael Jackson, Don't Stop to Get Enough. He's got that dun 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 dun, and he'd go dun 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun,
oh, right.
In between, and this intro just went on, and I was just...
You'd never heard anything like it.
God, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing went off, and as well, but it was also the sound system was amazing.
Did they have Technics SL1200s then, or was it something else?
There might have been 1500s, but there were probably the early 1200s.
Yeah.
Not the Mark IIs.
And was it a GLI mixer? Had Greg already put the GLI mixer in?
Yeah, the mixer probably was either to Greg or Danny's specs. It was a flat down. I reckon it was probably if not a 9000, probably a bigger version. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was definitely amazing.
Yeah.
So the sound system was amazing, but also the lighting technician was making the lights really work.
See, that's a sign of a good club back then, when they had a guy on the lights as well.
100%. There was no automated computer stuff. This was, you press this button, it does that. You press this button, it does that. So that was it for me. And
you were hooked.
I was hooked, and I think I was ballsy enough to, try and get Greg or Danny's attention, and we got to know each other, and that was that really. But the thing which really added to this equation was that a young business owner whose parents were formerly travellers, but they went into they had a bingo hall and all this kind of stuff. But this young lad who was part of the family wanted to open a club, which was similar to the warehouse. He'd seen it, so we didn't know him at this time. So this guy opened up not a carbon copy, but inspired, same lighting, same sound installation.
Yeah.
I think it was Court Acoustics.
Stephen Court.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think it was Stephen Court.
And Stephen Court also did the Camden Palace.
Yeah. And the lighting name escapes me, the company who did it, but they did a lot of stuff in those days. But so, unbeknownst to me and us, there was this kind of inspired by the warehouse club opening in, would you believe, the small market town of Beverly near Hull, which is a beautiful little town, but not exactly the place you'd think there would be a high-end discotheque. And so that, as I said numerous times in interviews, so we naturally went along there. Long story short, I walked in, saw this amazing club with scaffolding, lasers, neon.
But this was nearer where you lived.
It was, yeah. It was
because Leeds was quite some way from you, wasn't
Leeds was an hour away, and this place was 10 minutes away.
So this had to happen in your mind. You had to be in there.
Well, exactly that. So I walk in, I go in again with my cousin Karen, because we used to hang out and club together, and a couple of other friends, and I saw the place and looked at the system and what it was, but then I looked at the DJ, and he was very handsome looking guy,
like me.
Just like you. Yeah, I hope to aspire to that one day. But for me, because of what I'd seen, he was playing some great music, but it just didn't seem that the visual essence of the place was represented by what he was playing. It was a Saturday night, so it was maybe a commercial sort of vibe, but
yeah.
So I just found out the owner's name. His name was James.
Right.
And walked up to him and said, you've got an amazing club here. It's just like the Warehouse, but I think I can do a better job than you, DJ.
See, this is something you could do back then.
Arrogance.
That you can't do now. Because the problem is now is the sheer amount of competition and the scepticism and everything else. Whereas back then it was all kind of innocent.
Yeah.
And it was a new thing. There was no internet.
No. You had
everything was physical.
Yeah,
so things could happen, things could work.
And you had to make things happen. But it was almost part of this story that was writing itself.
Yeah.
You know, so I said, you know, I've got a collection of American disco 12 inches and I can mix records. I mean...
Which is true.
But what I'd done in reality, Simon, is I'd bought a couple of Tandy rubber band decks and a crappy little mixer from the local store.
Yeah.
And I'd taught myself how to sort of generally do a mix by slowing down and speeding up.
What did they have in the DJ booth there? Was it 1200s at that point?
They had 1500s.
1500s.
Yeah, the ones with the digital reader.
I know, yeah. They were lovely. Yeah.
So I'd never used them before.
Right.
I was talking out my arse really as regards like I've done this and I've done that, you know, but I got his attention and he called my bluff. He said, right, I've got a Thursday night. I only get about 50 people in.
Right.
I'll give you that. I'll promote it. You play for free. I'll promote it. Sorry, but he said, I want you to show me what you can do. I'm not going to do this if you can't, if you're talking bullshit or whatever. So he invited me down one afternoon, and he auditioned me.
Right.
And so I'm in front of a pair of Verispeed decks that I'd never seen or used before. A mixer that looked like something from NASA.
Yeah.
And a pile of records and of course disco records are all over the shop, aren't they?
Did he have a GLI mixer?
No, it was a
Matamp Supernova?
Might have been, no, would it have been a Formula Sound? Either Formula Sound or
Formula Sound PM80.
Probably.
That was the one they had at the Hippodrome, yeah.
Anyway, I think it was that, but sketchy memory. Anyway, I did it, and I actually, something inside me just made it work. He said, right, okay. He promoted it, US-style disco, blah, 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 loads of free tickets, get it all going. By week 2, we had 700 people in the place.
Oh, my God.
And it just went from there.
That just exploded then.
Yeah, and that was it for me. And this impacted, you know, my passion for this. And, you know, I ended up doing a Friday night. So I did a Thursday night disco night. But really, Simon, at that time, disco was on its death throes. It was dying a death.
Yeah.
And the boogie and the funk and everything was coming in, jazz funk, all that kind of.
So it's like 82, 83. That's
well into that vibe. So anyway, the Thursdays went on for quite a while. You used to draw people from all over the area. Yeah. Really, really cool. But then I got given Fridays. The other DJ, the main DJ, he started the Saturdays because that was the big commercial night, and he was bloody good at it. Yeah. But I ended up doing Fridays. Fridays became sort of the tail end of disco, the early part of the, you know, the Sharon Red, the boogie stuff, the funk, the Tom Brown, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then Wednesday, and this is what speaks to my, we call it alternative side of my musical vibe. I did the Wednesday Futurist, New Romantics.
So then you could get into playing some electronic music that you wanted to.
Yeah, and not only electronic music side, but the alternative, B-52s, Fad Gadget, The Cure, that kind of proper.
And you still love that kind of music, don't you? Because you still do, when you do your shows on Twitch, you mix it up and you do some shows like that as well.
Yeah, I've done, and then a few years ago I did something called the 80s Electro Pop Radio Show, what she said.
Yeah.
And that explores my alternative side, and I think that's come across in my production over the years as well. So that's the long story of my epiphany and how I got into it.
Well, that's the DJ side. You know what I was thinking on the way up here? I was going to ask you is the connection between. Let's wait for the bus to go past. Very noisy. The connection between DJing and mixing, producing.
Yeah.
Back then, if you were into mixing, live mixing, DJ mixing, it was kind of an obvious thing to do. So for the next step to be remixing, and then the next step after that to be your own productions.
Yeah.
But I think now, because the focus is so much on these... the focus is so much on these, the DJ being seen and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They seem to be more focused on just being superstars themselves as DJs.
Yeah.
And they claim that they're producers, but they're not really now.
Yeah, well, a lot of them are use either ghost producers or get other people to.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
They build a social media following that gives them some clout and a bit of finance, and then they can employ other people to do it. But it really is, I guess, mostly about them as an individual rather than, say, the music primarily.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, as is probably the audience that...
I mean, there are some massive DJs now that are earning absolute fortunes, and they're playing in Ibiza and all over the world and all this kind of stuff. I'm not going to name any names. But they really don't do any... They don't really release any tracks themselves now.
Yeah, it's usually a collaboration, or somebody else has ghost produced something.
Yeah.
They are, a brand, a package.
That's what it is, isn't it? It's about being the brand now.
Yeah.
Rather than we were in it for, even if we weren't earning any money. I mean, I know that when I was doing the stuff with Froggy, we were completely potless. We didn't have enough money from McDonald's. But we were there at it. And there's no way that would happen now, I don't think.
No. Yeah, but it's kind of like the DJs that think like that are playing to an audience that think the same. A lot of the audience it's about them being there in the moment and filming it, and their experience rather than the kind of tribal experience of music and dancing. You see these boiler room the boiler room thing gave birth to these kind of videos where there's three or four DJs doing the same knob twiddling bullshit,
and the crowds behind them, which I don't really get.
Like this, and then once they do anything or somebody does anything that's like a mix, they all celebrate like it's New Year's Eve. And it's the way it is. We're powerless to change it, and even why should we? All we have is the knowledge of what it used to be and how freaking awesome it was, and hopefully what goes around comes around, and the underground tends to always.
I think it'll come back. Yeah, I think the DJ because this is what Graham Park was talking about he was on Sky News of all things a few days ago. No, he was talking to James O'Brien, and he was talking about that it was different when he started because the DJ was in like a booth in the corner. Yeah. And nobody knew, or up or whatever. Nobody,
Do you think the whole late 90s superstar DJ super club thing changed all that?
Yeah,
that was the beginning. But
definitely.
That almost prefaced the whole collapse of the industry in about 2002-03, didn't it? That's when everything just hit the fan and
oversaturation of everything.
And then it just boomed. The scene disappeared and then reappeared later as Funky House. It was like that was game over at that time.
I mean, I know I post all these videos of all these girls dancing and stuff like that, but some of them are quite talented, as I discovered recently.
Oh God, I've seen some great female DJs.
But there are some ones that I've seen on TikTok recently who are amazing at scratching. I don't know whether you've seen them.
Yes, I have.
These girls.
Oh, yeah.
And they're incredible.
No. But, bless them, they're trying to fight with all the
dancers.
DNA kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, look, it's the world we live in. Everybody wants to be a DJ. Everybody wants to be a producer. Everybody claims to be one or the other or both. They're not.
Yeah. So going back to your history, after you established yourself at the club nearer to you, what was it called again?
Beverly Hills, it was called.
Beverly Hills.
That's quite clever. I also mixes on cassette. I didn't have a reel-to-reel at the time.
Right.
I eventually upgraded to that, managed to get one and started doing splicing and editing and digital delays and stuff. And I started to send stuff to Radio 1, especially for the attention of Bruno Brooks.
This is the way to do it. You did the right thing.
Yeah. So, and Bruno Brooks at the drive time show on Radio 1.
Yeah, I did exactly the same thing.
And I just thought, he's never even going to listen to it, or even if he gets it. Next thing I know, I get a call or something from his PA or whatever.
Yeah, he was very open to that kind of stuff.
He was.
He said you knew you were good and you knew what you were doing, and if you hit a roadblock, you kind of go around it, don't you?
Or through it.
Through it.
Yeah, you pile drive through it, and you look at, okay, well, what's the next level? So I sent, Bruno announced, hey, we've got this new mix from a DJ up in the north of England called Paul Dakeyne, and it's, I don't know what it was, Paul Hardcastle mix, I think it was.
Right.
And he said, he said, I don't think the record company are going to be too happy, but we're going to play it anyway, or words to those effects.
Yeah.
And he played it, and evidently it was bonkers response.
What I used to do is I used to use that exact same technique with Bruno and some other Radio 1 DJs, and also some Capital DJs, and I used to...
I think we're all right.
I think we're all right. Let's go.
Yeah,
I use that
same technique. Yeah.
Exact same technique to pressure the record companies to release the remixes that I was doing and with Froggy as B-sides.
Yeah.
Because Froggy used to be able to get access anywhere, because we used to be able, because of who he was the #1 club DJ in the country at that point.
Yeah.
We used to just walk into the record companies, which you can't do now.
Yeah.
We just used to turn up at London Records or whatever and say, Pete Tong's expecting us, and like walk in, and push our way past security. And then we would bully the record company into releasing it because Bruno Brooks was playing it or whatever.
Right.
So, similar technique.
We did it, didn't we?
Yeah.
We made it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Again, these are things that are just impossible now. You couldn't do this kind of stuff.
Exactly. No, and it's not the same world.
Yeah.
At least, for getting your stuff noticed. So yeah, I think either they asked for some more, or I just kept sending them. And I think he played maybe 3 or 4 mixes, a U2 mix, all sorts of stuff.
Get past these tourists.
Yeah, so...
That's what we got in London here.
Back to the Beverly Hills days. My work at the club was... I was so involved with it. I was, doing lots of late nights. It was kind of rubbing off on my day job, as it were. Yeah. Even though I was a young man.
Yeah.
And the owner said, well, do you want to manage the place?
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God. So, OK, all in. Let's go for it.
So you were going to be the manager of Comet?
No, sorry. The manager of the club.
Of the club, I see.
Which, was probably, by comparison, a dodgy setup compared to an established business like Comet or Dixon's or whatever.
Yeah.
So my dad was miffed, to say, and not very happy.
Yeah. And your mum was ecstatic?
Actually, no. My mum was sort of, I'm not sure this is the right thing for you, but if you want to do it, I'll support you and everything.
Right.
My dad was dismayed. But it was my grandma, my mum's mum, my nana, who was like, Paul, this is your dream, go and get it.
Oh, that's nice.
Well done, that kind of thing. So
it sounds like, you had a supportive family. Yeah, they were supportive. So, Tinman, then, you were obviously known at that point for your mixes, for all your DMC stuff.
Yeah.
Did you just say, right, well, I'm going to get into producing now? What was the...
I was already producing. I was producing records and to a degree writing and...
Or being an artist, rather.
Well, yeah, the Tinman Story is by... You know the way certain DJ producers have their time in the sun, as it were, and then record companies are fickle and move on to the next big thing.
Yeah.
And, I sat down to myself, right, I'm going to make the biggest F-off record that all of the industry
That's great.
have ever known this year, and they're not going to know who it is, and Pete Tong's going to sign it. And that's what I thought.
You decided all that beforehand?
Yeah.
And it worked?
Yeah.
That's
Seriously.
incredible.
I know. Yeah.
Because for me, Base Hello Can You Go was just a total accident. There was no planning whatsoever.
No, this was because I'd actually, in a way, I had formulated I was almost moving towards that Tinman arrangement sound, whatever, by doing certain other records.
Right.
You know, other music industry people have said, oh, you could see you developing as Tinman from this point onwards, kind of thing, late 80s, early 90s. But it was that sheer determination to do this.
Yeah.
So, and I literally, and I think you've probably done this, Simon, you know, because we used to have like floppy disks and lock them up with and nobody else could have them, and you're protective of your own sound. I literally threw them in the bin, everything.
Did you?
Yes, everything. I thought I want to reinvent myself. It was almost like a statement that I threw everything out, like a virtual gesture.
Yeah.
I ignored it. Okay, right, start afresh. What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? And I'd heard that the inspiration for it, I'd heard that, or seen, I can't remember, that DJs like Jeremy Healy were playing Smells Like Teen Spirit at the end of a house set or something.
Yeah.
And having an interest in rock and everything and alternative, I found that quite interesting. And I thought, well, how wonderful would it be to combine power chords, rock with house music? Could that work? And it hadn't been done.
Yeah.
It just hadn't been done.
Yeah.
So I went, and at the time I was given access to a fantastic studio through some connections, and we talked about the importance of networking and stuff like this. I had access to an incredible studio called BJG, Bunk Junker Genius,
right?
Which was out in the west somewhere, so I think near Earls Court.
Yeah.
And Andy Hughes, who was eventually went with the Orb. Bless him, he passed many years ago. Great engineer, and he engineered for a lot of my stuff in the past. So Andy would work with me on the SSL desk, and I'd have access to every single synth made in
Serious
history.
studio.
Incredible. But the problem was, Simon, that there was too many distractions. It was too glossy. It was too big. I needed to get raw.
Yeah.
So I actually made a demo, which I still have to this day, which is the genesis of 18 strings. But then I wasn't working for DMC at the time, so I hired.
So you were doing this back up north, essentially?
No. I was still in down south, still living down south. So yeah, I went into what was DMC Studio 3, locked myself in there, and it was just one Juno synth, 2 Akai samplers, a little bit of delay and 16-track recorder, and I just made it.
Fantastic.
But it had to be raw and basic, and before it was just too pretty, too polished, too nicey. Yeah. I needed something that would slap people across the face.
And you joined the club of us DJs who had a hit.
Crack the top 10.
There was Cold Cut. There was Pump Up the Volume.
Mars.
When I heard Pump Up the Volume, that was a kind of like, that was a big changing thing for me. It made me realise, I could do something like this.
Yeah. It's about DIY, and the labels were up for it, weren't they?
Very much so. Yeah.
When was yours? Late 88?
88 was it was beginning of 88, and then Chad had one as well.
Well, Chad had one. Chad's was.
Let the drummer get wicked.
I think it was after mine. We always have a joke because I think Chad got to something like number 3. I got to number 9. So I said, you buggerlugs.
Yeah.
But yeah, we both had a. Did yours go top 10?
Yeah, I was on top of the pops.
There's the other. You actually got on top of the pops. That's brilliant. I was going to go on top of the pops, but we got kicked off at the last minute. Some band called Oasis. Rubbish. You never heard of them, probably, because everybody thought that I'd sampled the guitar. But I had.
Sounds very good.
Well, it was my dear friend John Moores who played it for me. I wanted the thrash sound, but I wanted a rhythm sound of it. And the reason the track's called 18 strings because there's 3 guitars. So there's the story. That's why it's called 18 Strings. Three guitars that did it. So, but everybody, it's sampled Nirvana. It's the bootleg. No, it's actually not.
Yeah.
This is a real session player. But literally, what happened was I went in to see to the master room. A guy called Aaron Chakraverty. Aaron cut the plate. The mother.
Yeah.
But then, unbeknownst to me, he'd cut an acetate.
Oh.
And he sent it to Pete Tong, saying, Pete, listen to this. This
He
is
used
a
to
hit.
like those, yeah.
Yeah. So what happened was Pete played the acetate, and to that date, I've heard it was the biggest reaction phone in for any record.
God, it's fantastic.
And literally got a call from Andy Thompson on Monday. Pete wants to see you. Tuesday, there we are, full circle to what I predicted or wanted. Pete sits me down.
Brilliant.
Paul, how much do you want for this fucking record?
Yeah, brilliant.
And that was it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but we couldn't release it. The original version that I'd made had the Nirvana chords in it, but what added to the impact of it, in a kind of beautifully ironic, tragic way, is that Kurt Cobain killed himself.
Yeah.
So that really amplified the whole. My God! So bootlegs started to appear in record stores of the original version, because there was only 300.
So Kurt Cobain died pretty much exactly when you were releasing that.
Yeah, it was. It was buzzing and out there, and Pete had played it, and then Kurt topped himself.
Oh God!
So it was like, wow.
Yeah.
Go figure. What a thing.
Not because he heard it. Sorry.
No.
I couldn't resist that one.
There is a joke about when, because the anonymity behind the actual record was part of my master plan.
Yeah.
So nobody knew who it was.
Yeah.
But when the story actually was broke, because I was DJing at the time for U2 in the kitchen in Dublin.
Yeah.
So I was flying out once a week there and back. It was either the Melody Maker or New Musical Express sent out a reporter to break the story of who Tinman was.
Oh wow!
And I sat on the stairs with this interviewer, and he cracked something that was even 1,000 times worse than what you've just kind of suggested. I'm not going to say it on film.
I wasn't suggesting such a thing.
But it was like, but anyway, they broke the story. It came out, and that was it, and it just went stratospheric from there. But we couldn't get it out in its original format because the chords, Gold Mountain, which was Nirvana's management company, I was actually in direct touch with them. Sending faxes as you do in those days. Please, can we have permission to release? Because even though it wasn't a sample, it still was a publishing element to it.
Yeah.
And
although I think you didn't think you had to talk to them, because once something's been released, you can release a cover version without asking permission.
Yeah, but when it falls into the realms of a parody, it becomes something different.
Oh, you wanted to change it so that you...
No, well, it was EMI.
It wasn't a direct cover
EMI
version.
Publishing, we want to release this. London wanted to release it.
Yeah.
But Gold Mountain were going, no, you can't.
Yeah.
Anyway, a chap called Nick Gordon-Brown, who worked
I know
at
Nick.
Stress Records,
Yeah.
he pulled me into his office one day and said, the chords in this sound like Stepping Stone by the Monkees and the Sex Pistols. And we analysed it and everything, and numerically, the Nirvana chords are 1, 2, 3 and 4 sequentially.
Yeah.
And the Stepping Stone one is 1, 3, 2 and 4.
Oh my
so
God.
It becomes a different track. So what we had to do, and the only way to get the record out, I got John back in, he replayed the chords the wrong way round, but to the general perception of somebody listening to it, they can't quite get all they hear is the dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
So
it was no problem in the end.
So in fact, the actual released version was not my vision, but it was a compromise, but it was still a massive hit. And
that's all that counts.
Yeah, in fact, for Record Store Day this this year, sorry, I released the original, what people used to call the bootleg mix. I had it remastered by Conan. And
I saw that, and I saw you on the video going to your local record shop in that little arcade.
Yeah. So kind of the original version is available on vinyl now. So
fantastic.
That's the Tinman Story.
Okay, well you've got to get on your train here, haven't you? You've got to go all the way back to Hull. We did this perfectly, didn't we?
Sandwich, and I'll be on the and have a.
Yeah, I didn't get to buy you lunch.
No, it's my pleasure. It's great to see you.